Welcome to the opening video in a possible series of short films exploring the first-hand accounts of comics legends. In this episode we look at the recollections of Steve Ditko with respect to how he and fellow creator Stan Lee relaunched and revamped the Incredible Hulk. While the Hulk is now recognized as one of Marvel's most popular characters, his original series ran only 6 issues between 1962 to 1963 before being cancelled. Officially recognized as a co-creation of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, the early strip revolved around Bruce Banner, a scientist working in a military base headed by General Ross in the American Midwest. Unbeknownst to others at the base, Banner was prone to transforming into the monstrous Hulk after being exposed to radiation from a gamma bomb explosion. The only one who knew his secret was teenage sidekick Rick Jones. The early Hulk underwent numerous changes in creative direction, with Lee and Kirby seemingly struggling to find the right formula. For example, Banner originally transformed into the Hulk each night, but by the end of the series he had created machinery to control the process. The Hulk's personality and intelligence also varied dramatically, as reflected in the Hulk's inconsistent speech patterns. In the third issue, an exposure to cosmic rays linked the Hulk mentally to Rick Jones, a premise that ran for several stories before being abandoned. Those same cosmic rays seemingly gave the Hulk the temporary power of flight, at least according to Jack Kirby. Although Lee's text stated that he was merely leaping, many of Kirby's illustrations clearly depicted the Hulk changing direction in mid-air. Lee and Kirby's Hulk encountered a wide variety of fantastic foes, including aliens, an evil ringmaster who used mass hypnosis to commit robberies, and Tyrannus, the immortal leader of a subterranean race. In the midst of such chaos, Bruce Banner somehow continued to hold his position as a scientist at the army base while maintaining the secret that he and the Hulk were one and the same. Jack Kirby left the strip with issue number 5. Steve Ditko was then brought in as the artist for the final installment. As Ditko later recalled, it was said Kirby would be wasted on doing the final issue when he could be put to better use working on something else. The following year, in 1964, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko were working together on 2 regular Marvel strips, The Amazing Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Lee was the credited writer and editor on both, but Ditko would increasingly take the lead in developing the stories as each series progressed. A talented creator and storyteller in his own right, Ditko had developed Spider-Man with Lee. He had also been solely responsible for conceptualizing Doctor Strange, character whose first appearance he had plotted himself. Recognizing that the two made an effective team, Lee approached Ditko with the offer of a 3rd series. Ditko had actually already been toying with an idea for a new kind of hero, one that may later have evolved into his Charlton Comics character, The Question. I was interested in working up an idea on my own, as I did with Strange, again for the sake of variety. I intended to do a hero in street clothing to avoid special costume changes. I shelved my ideas because Stan wanted a character to publish soon. Stan offered me Daredevil. I'd already helped with the first issue, but I didn't want to do him. He was too close to Spider-Man, spider senses, blind super senses, and I didn't like the cane gimmick. I turned down Iron Man because I didn't find the weak heart gimmick interesting enough. Stan had a list of possible old Marvel characters to choose from: Khazar, the Submariner, Hulk, and other oldies. I decided on the Hulk because I could work on the military angle, one very different from Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. Lee recognized that the original Hulk series had failed over a year before, so there had to be a noticeable difference between the old Hulk and the new Hulk. As Ditko recalled, there were discussions between us about the second Hulk. A big part centered on what Stan wanted to discard, what we could keep and why. The military context would remain, with General Ross and his daughter. But the aliens, monsters, and oversized villains in far-out fantasies were scrapped as junk material. The more human type of villain, less super-powerful in contrast to the Hulk, were in. So the more possible, logical, believable, a kind of realism, was definitely in. They also decided to borrow some of the emotional depth that had worked so well in Spider-Man. Since the Parker/Spider-Man type of problem was working successfully, Stan believed that was the direction to go with Banner and the Hulk. So there would be more emphasis on showing the psychological, social problems of Banner, how being the Hulk affects his relationships and his life in the world. Ditko and Lee's Hulk run began as a co-feature in Tales to Astonish number 60, cover dated September 1964. The new series would also incorporate another significant change from the original Hulk run, as stress was now presented as the trigger for Bruce Banner's transformation into the creature. Whether this idea was developed in the discussions between Ditko and Lee is unknown. The concept initially appeared in a Giant Man story in Tales to Astonish number 59 that guest-starred the Hulk, just one issue before Ditko's new version began. But it was only in the Lee Ditko run that this became a central element of both the character and his stories. This Lee Ditko Hulk had a more stable personality than in the original run. His new enemies, which included the evil leader, also tended to be more grounded. At the same time, more attention was paid to the personal struggles of Bruce Banner, and the consequences of events on his life. Ditko described the working method for each installment as a true collaborative effort, consisting of the usual Lee plot synopsis, my working out the story pages/panel breakdown, penciling of the art, rough script, and then going over the material with Stan. Lee would then provide the published dialogue. The relaunch evidently resonated with readers, firmly establishing the Hulk as a viable Marvel property. Ditko, however, would only remain for 8 issues. His departure occurred around the same time as a general communication breakdown with Lee. Whether it was Ditko's decision to leave the strip is unknown. Ditko never explained the reasons, despite recording many other events from that period. Ditko worked as a freelancer, and recognized that he could be replaced on a strip at any time. However, the only example he ever provided of this actually happening involved a single instance in which Jack Kirby was brought in to pencil an early Spider-Man story. Whatever the circumstances, Ditko looked back on his Hulk run with pride, contrasting it with the failed Lee/Kirby version. Setting aside the dispute between Stan and Jack Kirby as to the creation of the Hulk, their Hulk idea, creation, failed. I was instrumental in bringing out the second version of the Hulk with different ideas by Stan and me. The second Hulk went on to continuing success. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to this channel.